more than 40 assemblies. However, this is the first time and the only opportunity I'll have to speak to your parents as a group, so I'm going to say a few words to them first. I've spoken to a large number of you over the phone and in person over the last 5 years. I couldn't have wished to have had a more sensible and dedicated group of parents to deal with. You've been fantastic. You've done a great job in bringing up your children. I'm very proud of each and every one of the Year 12s sitting in front of me tonight. You've all been a real pleasure to work with. The Year 12s, you should take every opportunity to show your parents how much you appreciate them. You are very fortunate to have such supportive and caring parents, so thank you. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank all of the teachers. We have a lot of teachers here tonight. The administration for all of your efforts over the past 5 years, and I would especially like to thank Mr. Lillyman, the Deputy Principal, who was in charge of you for the past 2 years. Thank you to all those people. Whenever I go out, which is not very often, I get into conversations with people, and the conversations go like this. I say hello. They say, what do you do? Then I can say, I teach at Applecross Senior High and teach science. But I'm also a year coordinator and look after the Year 12s who are finishing this year. Then they say, what's that like? Then that's the line I'm waiting for. Because then I do say, it's brilliant. The kids I look after would have to be the nicest kids in the entire state. They're absolutely amazing. They behave perfectly and get along with each other so well. They work hard and they're friendly to everyone, from the cleaners and gardeners to the office staff and the administration. They're just great. Nobody ever says, I find that hard to believe, or that's a bit over the top. No matter how many times I say these things, I never get tired of hearing myself. This is the last chance I get to tell you all the things that impress me most about you all. Firstly, your consideration. You're always friendly to each other and your teachers. If someone is upset, you try to help them even if they're not a particularly close friend. Secondly, your energy and enthusiasm. Because you're always positive, it seems to lift other people, and that filters through to the whole school. Your behaviour. Whenever you're out in public, you're always a credit to yourselves and the school, and you set an example for other younger students. And 4, your initiative and leadership. Whenever there is a job to be done, there's always an excess of people wanting to help, regardless of what the job was. That certainly made my job easier, but it also made the whole 5 years more enjoyable for everyone. Apart from all of those qualities, something that will stay in my mind for the last few days of school this year. I've mentioned this before, the last day of official lessons, the dress-up day, the final assembly and the graduation dinner are things that I'll never forget. Now, over the last 5 years, I get asked a lot of questions. I've been asked a lot of questions. Over the past few days, I've had the chance to sit back and think of all the good things that have happened over the last few months and also the last 5 years. But probably the most enjoyable part is speaking to you all and answering your questions. Now, I've listed 8 questions that I get asked the most times. I'm going to go through them because it's the last time I'll have to be able to explain or give these answers for a start. And some of the questions were very difficult to answer and in some cases impossible. And these are the 8 questions I get asked the most. First one, which kid do you hate the most? My answer is always the same. I like all kids equally. And then the response is always, I bet you don't. Second, is the world going to end in 2012? That comes up quite a lot. I hear an urgent shuffling of feet coming along the corridor, then somebody bursts into my office and asks me what day it is today. Others ask, what do I have period 1? Which is just a smarter way of saying the same question. Fourth question I get asked, are you ever going to get married? Fifth, have you got any food in here? I say, no, 6. Have you even started writing your book yet? I bet you haven't. It's the most difficult question of the lot. I said there are 8 questions, there's only 7 questions, but this is the most difficult question of the lot. Mr. Tinley is... Mr. Tinley, do you think I should marry a white guy? I've just got time to tell you one story. And usually that's what you do at this time. It's usually appropriate for me, most of the focus of the school is to help you decide what you want to become occupation-wise. Very little time is spent thinking and deciding about what sort of person you're going to be. And they're 2 completely different things. This is unfortunate. So I'd like to tell you a story about how things are in my family, and I hope that's normal. My parents live in Augusta, but they come to Perth quite often. In winter, the routine on a Friday night is that my brother and I go to my parents' house, we have a meal at 8 p.m, we watch AFL from 8:30 onwards, my mum reads a book and tries to tell us about it while the game's on. One Friday, it got to 8 p.m. and there was absolutely nothing happening at all. Then it went to 8:30 and still nothing. And I'm waiting for somebody, my brother probably, to say, well, the game must be starting soon. But nobody says anything. And we're watching either MasterChef or My Kitchen Rules. I don't know which of those 2 it was. And the game by this stage is well and truly started. And then my mum's the first to speak. She said, "Don't worry, my show will be finishing soon." And I say, "Well, when will that be?" She says, "In about half an hour, but we can switch over during the ads." I can't believe what I'm hearing. And I thought, well, there's nothing I can do about this, so I might as well watch this show and see what all the hype is about. Now, I watched the show, and by the end of it, I not only saw what the hype was about, but I also worked out that the show wasn't even about cooking. It was about life itself, and it was almost biblical. On this particular night, there were 3 sets of pears, and they had the same length of time to make a dish. Then at the end of it, they had to justify what they had done before a panel of judges, and they would give a verdict, either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It was like a microcosm of a lifetime. Each of the pairs were completely different personalities. The only thing they had in common is they could cook very well, and they had a plan, and they wanted to show everyone how good they were. Now, there were 3 pairs. The first pair came out, and they were very serious. I'll call them Chef A. Even though there were 2 of them, obviously. They acted not like they were cooking, but they looked like they were assembling a robot. They didn't look like they were having any fun at all. Little things keep going wrong for them, which I was glad. I was hoping things would go wrong for them. And every time something happened, they blamed the other person. The whole thing was agonising to watch. They made a good dessert, but it wasn't perfect. But they had hoped that the judges wouldn't notice. Even when they put the last little bit on the dessert, it was like they were performing a surgical procedure. Anyway, they finished the thing and presented it to the judges. The judges, well, they were fair. They said they liked some things but didn't like other things. And each time the judge said a positive thing, it was a sigh, a sense of relief, and then if it was a negative, it was like they got stabbed by a skewer. And then they looked at each other, thinking, oh, that wasn't my fault. The whole thing was painful. The next pair, I'll call them Chef B. They were completely different. They were all overexcited and hyperactive. I knew something was going to go wrong, and it did very quickly. They were making a caramel sauce thing that was to go on top of another thing. They left it on too long. I don't cook, but I knew that this wasn't going to work, that they were hardly even going to be able to pour it out of the pot. They added some water, but that didn't fix the the situation. But what they did next absolutely amazed me. They got together and decided that they would make a different sauce, and they hoped the judges would forget what sauce they were supposed to make. And I'm thinking, I can't see this working. They finished making the two desserts with the fraudulent sauce, which were then passed out to the judges. And each of these desserts had a lid, I guess it's called, on top of it, hiding what was underneath. And I can't bear this because I know that they're going to see this, whatever it is. And I'm sweating. Then the judges both lift the lids at the same time and have a look, and then grab their spoons and start eating like nothing, no problem. I'm absolutely amazed at this. They're saying, oh, this is good, and I like how you've done this. I can't believe they've fallen for the old switch the sauce trick. They keep eating, and I'm thinking, these judges are complete frauds. Then, out of the blue, and without any warning at all, one of them just says, wasn't this supposed to have a caramel sauce? And I can't breathe. I'm sitting there, thinking, what is going to happen now? Then one of the pair says, well, we were going to do that, but it all went wrong. We could have used it, but we didn't think it would be at a standard that we'd be happy with, so we changed it. And the judges said, well, you did the right thing. Sometimes you just have to make decisions like that. And I was filled with absolute relief. That was, by this stage, the cooking show was getting more interesting than the football I was missing. Then the third pair came out. There's only one pair, there's the last one. These guys were fantastic. They were calm and they really enjoyed what they were doing. They seemed to forget that they were being watched by millions of people and just got on with the job. By the end, they were very pleased with what they'd done. They'd done the very best they possibly could. To them, the judging was almost irrelevant. They just stood next to each other with identical grins on their face. And I've noticed that they do that. And it didn't matter what the judges said. The judge said, this is good, they just smiled. And I didn't like that, they just kept the same smile. It was irrelevant what they thought. They'd done the very best they could. And my advice to you people, year 12s, is to try to be like the last pair of chefs. Have a good plan, enjoy what you do, and do the very best you possibly can. And don't try to impress other people. But if you can't be like Chef C, the Chef C's, and something unexpected occurs, do what the second pair of chefs did, Chef B. Change, don't do anything illegal and fraudulent. Change course quickly and don't waste time dwelling on something you can't reverse. But whatever you do not be like Chef A's. Don't take yourself too seriously. You'll never be perfect at what you do, no matter how hard you try, and people will see you're not perfect and you won't win any cooking competitions. Now, this is the end of the night. Very soon you'll be walking out of here and you'll never see most of the people ever again in your life. That's the way it is. I hope you enjoyed your time at Applecross Senior High School and hope you enjoy whatever you plan to do for the rest of your lives. I've been very happy to have known you all, and I'll miss seeing you all. So thank you very much.
this group of students over the last 5 years, your desire to help your kids in all areas of their lives is testimony to your caring nature. I want to tell you one very quick story. Our sound people from Audex who have done this graduation ceremony for many years, we used to have the same guy do it year after year after year. I think he's left now. But about 6 or 7 years ago when Cam was the Year 12 coordinator last time, he